Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
And the activated angels are back. It's Roro and Dee here on Wee.
On Wee. Oh my Lord.
WEFM.
Much
They
better.
know that.
Much better.
They know that. Alrighty then. So we're not having any cup chat today. So as usual, we're just gonna have Dianna and Roleza chat, and the WEFM listeners, please.
Right,
We have a okay then. So we have a call. Hi caller. Good morning.
Good morning. You have information.
Good morning.
Good morning to you both. How are you?
Good.
How are you?
Hanging in as usual. Hanging in there.
Okay.
Right. I must first say a happy birthday to my sister Baldine. Hope you have a healthy, productive day. Right. Now, I don't like to get involved with politics, but I love election. Not only in wherever. I was involved also. While I was a representative for a union for 19 years. The first time I won by 20 votes. Second time by 12 votes. And the third time I was unopposed. Right. Now, I will be out of place to say that the NDP has never done anything because I have never lived under the NDP. And I always say, each government in the world, it doesn't matter where you go, they all has done something good for their country. It might not be everything. Now, I am so pleased with myself that I'm not living in North Leeward. I'm from North Leeward originally, but I now vote in Central Leeward. Had I lived in North Leeward, I would have found it very, very difficult to vote. And I'll give the reason. Now, Dr. Shallow's grandmother, she's living in England. She's a retired midwife. While she was living in the Northeast home in England, when she had her vacation, she spent it with my family. My children grew up calling her auntie. She's still living in England. I've known Dr. Shallow himself. His father, who just passed away last year, I know the whole family. But what I'm trying to get at here is, had I lived in North Leeward, I would have found it very, very difficult to vote. For I'm a supporter of the Labour Party. I'm a supporter. Now remember, Carlos James won by 1 vote the last election. Had I lived there, I would have found it really difficult. For personally, I would have liked to give Dr. Shallow my vote on the personal side. On the other hand, if I did not vote, it meant I gave my vote to the NDP. And had I voted for Dr. Shallow and he was to beat Mr. James by 1 vote, it would have been my vote that gives him that win. You follow me?
I do.
Yes. So I'm happy that I'm not living there because it would have been difficult for me.
But you see, that is why I made the point too of when it comes down to voting, are we going to vote based on party or best candidate?
Exactly. Yep. I listen to you that very carefully. I'm along that same line. Now we're going to, let's be honest, this government is doing very, very, very well. Very well. And as I said, I'm a supporter of the Labour Party. I'm a supporter. I love election because I like debate. I like to listen to debate. You know, one of the best elections I listened to since I've been back here is Trinidad election, not the last one, the one before, where they had college students questioning, party, the two different parties, the questioning them, and that was really nice. I really, really sat and I enjoyed it. And I would like to see something like that happening here. I would like to see debate. Let's have debate and listen, and so on. So that is my little bit this morning. Thank you very much for listening to me.
As always, Mr. Mason.
Help me going in the morning, get me out of bed.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Lovely. All right.
Thank you very much indeed.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Mason.
Righty there. That was Mr. Mason giving us his take on the previous topic brought up by P. John in his commentary earlier. Now we have a topic.
I was ready to move on. So there's something that Mr. Mason said, which is something that I would love to be able for us to do in terms of the debates, right? Because I think that but I have never seen a debate happen here in SVG where the prime minister and the leader of the opposition have entered into a debate. I think at some point there was a talk of wanting to do it, but I'm not sure for whatever reason why it didn't happen. And I think sometimes what it does, as many of us look forward to the presidential debate in the US, right? Between the candidates who are putting themselves up as presidents. Many of us look forward to seeing that. And sometimes we judge whether or not somebody is competent. We judge them based on, let's say, their fluency in terms of bringing up points to support whatever argument they're making. We judge persons based on that. And I think that helps a lot for persons who might be undecided, right? But I would love to see it happen here. Let me just leave it at that. I would love to see it happen here, right? Yeah. And not just amongst those who are contesting for the seat of prime minister, but even at the constituency level. That is what I would love to have happen.
We want to see that. Politicians, could you agree?
You see, that's the thing. And it's the agreement. It's the agreement to them considering doing it. And I mean, even in some regards, to try to even get persons to sit down for an interview, it has sort of been somewhat of a challenge. So imagine just to do a one-on-one interview, much less to doing a debate, of an opposing side but it is something that we would love to see happen. All right.
Let's hope that we'll see that this year. It's the year of transformation, or the era of transformation, and all of those good stuff and advancement and all of that. So era.
What do you mean by era of transformation?
You know what? Let me explain that. I mean in general, in life in general, not in parties, people, if that's what you were thinking. I don't mean in like the transformation of party or government. I was talking like generally in life, and age of advance. I'm serious. That is what I meant. That is what I meant. Okay. So it is that time, we're in that, that particular time. So let's hope we'll see something from them. Let's hope that for this election, we will see some debates. Okay, politicians, thank you in advance. Anyways, to move on from that topic, that's it, right? You didn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So something came up in the news yesterday. Some of you may have already heard this story by now. I'll be reading from the police force page. It's titled "Minor Charged with Multiple Counts of Theft." So the police arrested and charged on March 3rd this week. Police arrested and charged a 16-year-old student of Brighton with the offense of theft. According to the police investigation, he stole 4 bottles of Hennessy on 2 different occasions, valued at $682 EC, the property of Massy supermarket. In addition to that, on February 24th, he allegedly stole a quantity of items valued at $1,051.87 from Massy as well. And this was, well, both of them are Massy in Arnesville. He appeared before the Kingston Magistrate Court and he pleaded guilty to answer the charges. He was remanded in custody until March 6th, which is today, for sentence. It was so disheartening. I know that we're hearing a lot about young people doing a lot of things, and we're seeing them doing a lot of activities that aren't so pleasing these days. But it's still, for me, was still so disheartening to read this child, this 16-year-old child being arrested for stealing liquor. Roleza. Right. I'm gonna go to you and then we come back.
All right. Okay, so yes, he's 16 years old, and initially when I saw it, well, the headline, initially I thought it was stealing food, right? No, I'm not saying that stealing food is stealing on a whole is wrong, right? But initially I thought it was stealing food. But it does bring into question for me the reason behind it, right? Was he stealing for an adult? Was he stealing, and it's bottles of Hennessy, yeah? Was he stealing the Hennessy because it is cool to be drinking, right? Because we know that there are many young persons out there who think it's very cool to be drinking. And to be flossing with a bottle or holding up a bottle, it's a flex. It seems like it's a flex for many young persons. The other thing too is that I am seriously hoping that at the age of 16 that he's actually not consuming this alcohol. But to steal them could possibly also mean consumption, right? Now, when you have to have somebody starting to drink so young, it concerns me what their future may be like. And it's not even just about drinking and getting drunk, but it's also about the health implications that could happen. It is also about the addictions that could happen as a consequence of starting so early, right? So I do have several questions for this young, I believe it's a young man, right? It said young man?
I think.
It said minor by the way, but it says minor. So
it doesn't say.
I'm not sure if it's a male or female.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So for the minor, because it could also be a female charged in this case, right? So for the minor, I do have questions in relation to why it is that they did this in particular. All right. I noticed that other items were stolen to the value of $1051.87. So I don't know what those items were. Maybe they were also food items, but yeah, it's just questions. It's just questions at this point. All right. So.
Yeah. I just hope that we're always having this conversation about parents and what you do for your children, but I would just like to hope that when stories like these come to light for those of us who are parents, that we would probably talk some more. I know that the talking gets annoying as a child. Like I could tell you that nobody wants to have somebody nagging in their head. But you have to find a way to sit with them and talk to them and actually talk to them, in a way that they will understand. Don't approach them with aggression, because they're going to put up a block and, nothing is going to be done. Nothing will get done. So for those of us who are parents, I hope that when we hear things like this, that you just talk to your child a little bit more, check out your child a little bit more, encourage your child a little bit more in the right things, and even the children that come around you, because some of you interact with other people. You have nieces, nephews, godchildren that you interact with, or just children in the community that probably just like to flock around you. Children like to go to certain adults where they feel safe. You may be one of those kind of persons. So, you just
yeah, right.
Have conversations with them.
All right, so it's actually he, because it says he was remanded in custody on. So the minor is a male. It's a confirmation there, right? Just the thing. But Dianna, you're making the point of talking to your child, right? I sometimes wonder at the age of 16, especially with today's young people, who do they listen to more? Because you as a parent might be talking.
I think whoever makes, but that's it there too. Whoever makes them feel more comfortable, whoever makes them feel heard, and I guess whoever they feel like gets them.
I am not always sure if it's because I know sometimes many parents get the blame for a lot of things. But at 16 as well, your parent could be talking to you all they want till they're out of breath. But if this child doesn't recognize the errors of their ways in terms of going down the wrong path, sometimes you just have to leave them to learn the lessons for themselves. Right? No, I don't know what the circumstances are with this particular young man. But I do hear of parents who have been trying. They have been trying. They have been talking. They have been preaching. Maybe it's the way in which you're talking and preaching as well. That too might be the problem. But there are some people, young people, who are just hell-bent on doing what they want.
Yes, true. I agree with that. That is true. And like you said it, the way that we talk to them. So yes, sometimes, yes, I do encourage the talking, but let me add that there are other things that have to go with the talking. Sometimes I find that when we're talking to young people, we probably generalize them. I kind of don't really like general advice. I actually would prefer if persons are dealt with or given the advice one-on-one. Like I interact with you personally, and I talk to you, I get to know who you are, and then I give my advice from there. So I think it's sometimes we just approach them with that generalization that they're all the same. And a lot of times adults don't listen to younger people because they figure that, the adult is the smarter person and they know all of that. But you have to listen to them. I still would encourage you talking, but with some more actions and the way that you talk to them as well. They got things that they got going on, and sometimes the reason why they would turn to the crowd outside, even though they have what people would say, oh, they come from a good home, a happy home. Sometimes that home has no love. It may seem as though they're getting all that they want, but there is no love. And oftentimes you find more love with the people out on the road who the society would cast out. These are the people who sometimes are very non-judgmental and actually loving and would accept you in a way that your family wouldn't. And yeah, so.
All right, so hi Dave, morning.
Yes, good morning. When I hear you two, well, let me say relatively young people speak on these issues, that's a big task. One must not forget that all of us were not brought up in a proper house, home, however you refer to it. And for you to deal with the problem, sometimes who dealing with the problem haven't got a clue as to how to deal with these problems. Different socio-economic background and all of that. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not a rich country. St. Vincent and the Grenadines at this moment have a lot of problems to deal with. And this is just one of them, maybe the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Now, I say all of that just to ventilate the issue that you're dealing with more. Not all of us love that. Some of us love darkness more than light. While I appreciate, and I say that because while I appreciate what you people are saying, how many have seen the same light or seen the same thing because of their circumstances? I consider myself to have been born, born in a privileged family, so to speak, who are not rich, who are not dirt poor, but who are able. And, when I consider this, I want to hear all those naysayers who seem to want to, who I seem to offend, to tell me, to come and, give me a different answer. Tell Dave Roberts his mind, to his face, so to speak. If all what I'm saying is rubbish. I love to deal with people up front. So the point is, our orientation, the home we came out of, were our parents careless, worthless, or were they decent, upright, with morals and all of that? You have to look at all these things because that's what makes us St. Vincent and the Grenadines a country, a nation of people. And until we get it right, forever and ever, this complaint will continue. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
All right. I think that with that, if there aren't any...
All right. Now, I just want to make one final point. You were saying about talking to young people. But I would like for many adults to recognize as well, too, that they too were once young, right? And I tend to find that there are some adults out there who act like they were perfect saints, right? So, you want to talk to a child in particular. Yes, you want for them to be, to go on the straight and the narrow. You want for them to do the right thing. But maybe sometimes being a little bit more personal in the stories that you're telling them, to tell them, well, that I went down this particular road and, this wasn't what, this was the end result, etc. Because, a lot of people out there, especially when you get older, you're acting like, you never did any wrong. You didn't make mistakes, this and that never happened. So you come in there and all you're doing is preaching. The preaching doesn't work. All right. Share your story and let persons or let whoever it is that you are speaking to, especially if it's your child, let them have an understanding that you too were once young and you too made mistakes, but you do not want for your child to go down the same road, but speak to them in such a way that they can actually relate. All right. So
parenting is very hard. There's so many things involved in it, but thou hast said it, Roleza. Yeah, that is it. I think we're going to end right there with that. So we're going to head out of this talk segment, but we'll be back soon. And